Just over a year ago, Gary Newman came to the Isle of Man and performed for us in the Villa Marina. To say that it was an earth-shaking experience is an underestimate. It was an absolute tour de force. And one thing he did when he came over, popped up to see us here at Manx Radio, came up to the station, fancied a look around, and he fancied a chat. So I decided to ask him straight away if he'd been to the Isle of Man before.
No, I've been there twice before, actually. I came here, I can't remember when exactly, but to fly an air show, there's an air show here, and I came over with a team of World War II airplanes, and that was really cool, enjoyed that. But then the other time, what wasn't quite so cool, we were, again with the aeroplanes, we were trying to get back from Ireland, back to where we're based near Essex, and we got caught out with the weather. It came in much sooner than forecast, so we turned back to Ireland and couldn't do that, and ended up coming here. But that was quite hairy, actually. Didn't enjoy that at all.
It can be an interesting landing at the best of times.
Yeah, well, when we got to the runway, that was the good bit. It was flying along under the cliff level through the rain and trying to avoid the mass of sailing boats. I mean, it was heavy rain coming in. It was quite a thing, that one.
And you started flying as a young lad, didn't you? And we got into it through sort of air training or something? Or?
Oh, I was in the air training corps when I was 12, 13.
Yeah, that's early, yeah.
So I did a little bit of flying with them. Well, I can't remember. I was 19, 20 when I started to do my licence properly. And then the music career took off, so it kind of stopped for a bit, for about a year, because I was touring. And then, so I went back and finished it, I think 1980, something like that. And then I got into multi-engine aeroplanes and helicopters and did all that. And then eventually, through a chance meeting, I ended up getting into historic airplanes, World War II airplanes. So I bought one of them. Then that got me into air display flying. I was an air display pilot for about 15 years.
Yeah, that's quite something. They take a lot of looking after.
Yeah, it's they're challenging, to fly. I mean, they're very powerful, but I loved it. I loved it. It seems weird to me now that I don't do it anymore, because it was, for such a big part of my life, it was the most important thing in it. Yeah. More than music. I absolutely loved it. But then children come along, and your priorities change, and it was dangerous. I mean, pretty much everyone I knew that did it was killed in one crash or another. So, it takes its toll on people.
Yeah, talk about dangerous. I think the guy that built my mum's house in Guildford, he had a Spitfire. I can't remember the name of the builder.
Charles Church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He built my mum's house and then bang, gone.
Yeah.
So that was pretty...
I argued with him about 2 weeks before that happened, strangely enough.
Did you?
About that.
Yeah. What, the whole safety element?
Well, yeah, my argument was to have a reasonable level of engineering skill or mechanical skill knowledge would be a good thing, because if the aeroplane started to vibrate or bits were falling off of it, whatever it might be, you would be able to make a more educated decision on what you needed to do about it. Land immediately, go somewhere safe, whatever it might be. And Charles thought the opposite. He thought it would cloud your judgment. So we didn't see eye to eye on that at all. And then unfortunately he was killed in an accident not long after.
Now musically, it's the first time you've played here.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, so you've flown here, but you haven't played here before.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Now, we, the audience, are looking across this amazing catalogue, as they say in the business. How do you put the set together?
You're promoting the new album, so that's a good third of it would be new album, and then you've got certain things that you kind of have to play,
of course,
and that takes up a few more.
Yeah,
and then so you really only got to choose maybe 6 or 7 songs from that catalogue, and the catalogue's about 400. So it is tricky. So there is a tendency to play safe a little bit and play things that people like.
Way, young way.
1980 top 10 hit for Gary Numan, We Are Glass. But it hasn't all been roses over the last 30-odd years, has it? Is it a sine wave of success? There's been troughs and peaks, and it's been a bit of a mixture.
It's more like a corrugated career.
Yeah, but hasn't it? It's and then people sort of people younger than me suddenly rediscover or discover you for the first time.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, the last 12 months have been amazing, actually, from that point of view. When the new album, when Savage got to number 2 in the chart when it came out, when they told me about that, I probably cried like a baby. It was, and I didn't know that was coming. I didn't know I had so much sort of emotion tied into it. Yeah. And my wife took the phone call and said, number 2, and it was. You can't believe it, but it's not an emotional outpouring because of what that one record has done. I don't think it's the 25, 30 years, whatever, of being corrugated, getting back to that point again where you're right back up there. And I swear to you, this is true. For all of the number 1 albums that I had before, the one that has meant the most to me, I've done 21 albums, I think. This new one means the most to me. I appreciate now what it means to be sort of at the top of the chart, or near the top of the chart, in a way that I never did when I first started. It all seemed to come so easily, and it seemed, that easy, and that's, and I don't mean that in an arrogant way. It just did. It just seemed easy. So you don't really appreciate the magnitude of what's happened, but you spend 35 years trying to get back there, and you really do. You really, really appreciate it. So this one means the world to me.
Not a lot of people achieve it. It's one of those things that when I saw this going up the chart and then bang, number 2, I thought, who kept you off number 1, by the way? Do we know?
Foo Fighters.
Oh, well, the fair dues.
You know what weird? Dave Grohl lives about a mile away from my house.
Yeah, fair play to the Foo Fighters.
I need to have a word.
Yeah, have a word.
When they caught me broken, I knew. When they caught me evil, I knew. When they caught me ruined, I knew. I would always find my way to you. When I beg forgiveness, then you. When I beg for mercy, then you. When I beg for nothing, then you. I would always find my way to you. called you poison, you knew. When I called you shameful, you knew. When I called you liar, you knew. I would always find my way to you.
My Name is Ruin, from the album that took Gary Numan almost back to the top of the charts. Got to number 2 last year and is still out there doing very nicely. Thank you. Savage, Songs from a Broken World. But going back to the beginning of his career, how did he get into the electronic side of the business?
I was quite a latecomer to it. I didn't get into synthesizers until late 78. And so I was pretty unaware of the development of them and what was going on with them. I'd heard some things that I'd liked, Kraftwerk, bit of Eno, the stuff Eno did with Bowie on Low and so on. And I'd liked it, but not enough that I wanted to do it. No, there wasn't the sort of music I wanted to make at all. And so I was not a big fan as such of electronic music at all. And I was unaware of things like RMD and Human League and all these sort of new generation of people that were doing, I think, much more interesting things with it. And so I went into a studio to make my debut album, which was a punk album. I was in a 3-piece punk band at the time called True Miami. And the Mini Moog was in the studio, in the corner. I'd never seen a real one before, didn't know how to play it, didn't know how to set it up, but they let me have a go of it. And luckily, it had been left on a sound that was, quite impressive, and it really impressed me, and the power in it was just phenomenal. The room shook, and I couldn't believe it. And so I was sold there and then, and quite literally, by the time that my other 2 bandmates had finished unloading the gear and put it into the room, I'd already started to rewrite everything and rework everything. The guitar's going to be backed out, replacing guitar parts with synthesizer parts, and that's the album I took back to the record company. And they were not happy, actually.
Really? They didn't get it?
Didn't get it at all, not to begin with. And we had a proper big stand-up argument in their offices, and I was trying to convince them that this electronic sort of layer that we'd added to it was coming. It was coming, and I wanted to be right at the front end of it. I didn't realise I was already not at the front end of it. It had already been happening. But I was ignorant of that. I thought I'd found it, but I hadn't. And so we had this big argument, and me trying to convince them that electronic music was going to be massive and we should be right at the front end and all that. And eventually they agreed to put the album out as it was and not make me go back and do it as a punk album again. I think more because he didn't have any money. I don't think they had any more budget to send me back in. And
that was Beggars Banquet,
Beggars
wasn't
Banquet,
it?
yeah.
So they weren't a huge label by any means.
Well, then they weren't.
But then when you helped them become much bigger,
yeah, they were
much.
tiny then. I was a fourth or fifth act to sign to them. But it worked. It came out. It didn't get the bad reviews I think they were expecting. It wasn't great either, but it was all right. And then the album after that, which was about 6 months later or maybe less, went to number one. One after that went to number one. So it came good very, very, very quickly. Yeah. But I was still learning. I was doing interviews with tech magazines about synthesizers. Didn't have a clue what I was talking about. Just making it up.
That's very honest.
Trying to sound weird and mysterious because I actually didn't know the answer to any of their questions.
Premiere remix of Cars. Massive, massive hit. And that came out on his Premiere Hits collection. But going back to the new album, Savage, Songs from a Broken World, it really is a tour de force. So much work has gone into this.
Any album now is a big project. I've said this many times, but to me, making an album now, it's very much like a mountain to climb. And when you're coming up to starting it, you're standing at the foot of the mountain and you're looking up, and it looks daunting and intimidating and a huge task. And each one gets a little bit taller and a little bit steeper. They're not getting easier for me at all, getting harder. And I'm really nervous when I start them, really, really nervous, always. Again, increasingly so with each one. So you think when you made a lot, you start to take it for granted, you just churn out another one. But it's not like that, not like that at all. Because I honestly believe that you're only as good as your next record. Because I had some success in 1979 or whenever it was, you should not try to live on that. You should not try to have a career based on past glories. You should earn it again with each album. You've got to keep earning the position that you're in. And so there is a challenge to that. If you're going to keep on making records and you want them to keep getting better, well, you keep raising your own bar with each one, or that's your aim, even if you don't succeed. Always, that's what you're trying to do. And so the pressure is enormous with that. And then, of course, when they come out, everyone has an opinion. So you've got to go through that, and it's you got to be resilient, I think, to do it at all. But to do it for 40 years, you've really got to be resilient. And that's where I think my Asperger's, I got Asperger's syndrome. I think that's where it really helps me and plays a part in that I can compartmentalise the emotion in a way and wrap it up and just put it to one side. Sort of deal with that later.
And that helps you deal with criticism, do you think? You can box that off and say, well, they don't know this.
Yeah. And a way of just turning it into anger, forward motion, fuel on the fire, that kind of thing. Don't get it now, strangely enough. My days of having bad press, luckily, are long behind me, and it's much more positive now, and has been for a while. But I think I was scarred by it, by the early criticism that I got. The level of it and the hostility of it was shocking, and it definitely made a mark on me. And so now, when it's not like that, now that it's more pleasant, it's a lovely thing. But I'm kind of at arm's length to the whole thing.
I don't blame you, because you're right. The music press was vicious. They hardly exist now in some ways. Just an online nightmare.
I outlive the enemy.
Outlive the enemy. The enemy, indeed. Our thanks to Gary Numan, who came to see us here at Manx Radio last year and put on a show and a half at the Villa Marina. I'm Mark Tiley. Keep listening for more podcasts from Greatest Hits, because that's where they'll be popping up right here on manxradio.com.